Hello, welcome back to another week of the NRL Supercoach Talk Draft Waiver Wire podcast. As per usual, it's Chris and Simon here again to go through all the waiver wire targets for round 4 of the NRL season. Chris, how are you, mate?
Travelling well, sir. Another win on the books, so looking to keep that rolling this week. How are you travelling?
Yeah, got a win as well, mate. Obviously, if you own Widdop in draft and you didn't win this week, then that's pretty unfortunate to you.
I'm sure there's a sob story out there of someone that somehow did that, but Jesus, you hope that's not very common.
Oh, geez, in such a low-scoring week in general, to have one person outscore everyone in such a manner, I mean, it's the only way you lose is if you run into a guy
Robert Jennings.
Someone started the Jennings boys, yeah.
I'm sure someone flukishly started Robert Jennings, Dufty, and Laffey, and I'm just sitting there just laughing. So,
oh, geez, wouldn't you be dirty? Far out.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's go through the waiver wire targets, mate. Just to go through the order and the process that we're going to go through it this year. Look, we're not going to break it down game by game again. We're just going to go through the players that we've identified as potential claims, and we'll just sort of discuss each one. And sort of how we feel like they're going to be ranked rest of season, or if it is only short term, we give them a bit of an outlook on their short term potential. But we'll just go through the big players that we think are relevant. So let's kick it off and talk about that man, Robert Jennings. Obviously, a huge score on the weekend, over 100, actually over 120. Huge score. What do you think, mate, with Robert Jennings? Is it legit or just a bit of a flash in the pan?
Well, mate, a lower score of 37. He has that attacking stat each of the weeks, but the way Souths are rolling at the moment, and considering they're playing the Bulldogs, I should add, with how weak CTW's been to start the year. Oh boy, it's been bad. But mate, you know what? I'm on board as a speculative pickup here. I think there might be enough with that attack in that South team this year, surprisingly, to actually, to start a winger in decent matchups. So, yeah, low-end sort of waiver claim for mine.
Yeah, I'd reiterate that too, mate. I think very low end. I've always been a fan of left-hand side wingers in teams that are going to score points, and this shapes up as a matchup where South are going to have a chance of scoring points. So, not a bad pickup, but not an early claim. Staying in the same game, we just wanted to bring up Moses and Bai as a discussion candidate. Just obviously he would have been drafted in pretty much every league, and there's been no reason for him to be dropped. But just as sort of a potential target in terms of trading, just because of how halfbacks have either been injured or just generally terrible. What do you sort of think of him by? Do you think this week that's just gone by is a good time to be selling him by, or do you think it's actually something you should be holding because it's semi-legit?
I feel as though he looks pretty good in the role, and I think that obviously the Bulldogs aren't playing that real, that droll style that they were under Desi. So I'm actually going to buy in. I'm going to say that I can see why people, if you've got Moses on your bench, which I imagine is in a lot of leagues, I'd be okay with selling him high after that 100-plus score that he had. But if you've ended up with him and you're stuck with like Mitch Moses or your Brody Crofts or any of these types, mate, I think you might have got yourself a sneaky starter there.
Yeah, you should be going to the Nathan Cleary owner as well, obviously.
Good one. He could be a decent guy to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the Panthers then. There's a couple of guys relevant here. Christian Crichton, probably not yet. Terrible matchup against the Cowboys away.
Yeah.
So he only scored 18 in his first game. So a watch list, but not a waiver or a free agent for that matter. But the really big news is Peachy going to 6, and actually James Maloney taking over at halfback with the kicking back. Yeah. Is there a chance of resurrection from Maloney there?
I think with Peachy there, mate, funnily enough, there might be. Just because I think the onus will be on him to actually do the ball playing again. I'm not saying jump out and get a waiver claim or go super aggressive, but if I was a Cleary owner and Maloney was sitting there, I could buy for that.
Yeah, me too. I actually think Maloney will average he'll average 50 points a game while Cleary's out, I reckon, which for a guy that's been scoring 2s and 7s and stuff, I think is actually, that's value when you're talking those sorts of numbers. So, I mean, you've seen with the Sharks with Chad Townsend this year, you don't need to be an overly exciting or talented player. If the attack's going to run through you and you're a halfback and you've got the goal kicking, sometimes you just find your way into points with just bombs and the occasional forced dropout. And the way the team's been taking penalty goals this year, there's always about 12 points in goals to be had. So yeah, Milani's a sneaky claim for mine. I reckon he's a good little pickup for the next 6 to 10 weeks.
Don't mind it at all, mate. And obviously, Cleary's injury is one of those ones where he's no guarantee to come back firing fit anyway. So goal kicking mightn't automatically go back to him. So I'm on board as well.
Yep. And what do you think about Peachy?
Yeah, I like him as a 5'8", mate. I think he can be electric there. And if he's on waivers this week, I think he'll be very close to the top for mine.
Yeah, I'd agree with that there too. Especially if Cleary does end up staying out in the high side of 10 weeks. That could be a great little 10-week stash in your CTW. It'd be really handy.
Yeah, mate, and I also add there in terms of a trade target, with CTW being as bad as it is, I think he's a guy to go after this week because there may be people in leagues that aren't familiar with just how good he runs at 5'8". We're talking like, mate, we've seen him average over 60 in that position, so on board.
Yeah. A couple of guys that had pretty good weeks. I just wanted to discuss Cooper Cronk rest of season with you too, mate. He's another one to be looking at for the Cleary owner.
I actually like what I've seen from Cooper Cronk in terms of fantasy. As predicted, Kiri's really been the beneficiary in the games he's played. He's looked really good Supercoach-wise, but I think Cronk's doing enough compared to his role at Melbourne, and there'll be enough points, obviously, in the Roosters that I think he's going to be a Supercoach starter for the majority of the year there. So I don't mind how Cronk looks.
Yeah, especially against the Warriors this week at home. I feel like he's going to be a good chance of a 3-try assist game again. And he's always supporting up the middle too, which is always good. So he's always a chance of a try off support play. It's not usually a line break try, but he's always got that potential. A couple of guys that served you and I both well this last week. Nick Kotrick for you and Matt Duffy for yours truly. Mate, rest of season value for these two guys, what do you reckon?
I do think Canberra will improve in terms of like getting back to that try scoring sort of potent team. Kotrick, if he's out there, mate, there's a chance he was dropped after the first 2 rounds. I said I was lucky enough to pick him up the week just gone, and I thought he looked pretty good. So Kotrick, definitely a waiver claim for me if he's out there. Sorry, man, what was the other gent you mentioned?
Duffy.
Oh, Duffy. Look, you think the way he hogs the ball at the try line that he's going to be good for Supercoach. And in a team that's going to be attacking a lot, I've got to think he's super high. If, he's unlikely to be out there, I suppose, mate. But in terms of trade value, I believe. I think that's going to work really well.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, Duffy. Fullback only has always made it hard this year for trading, I feel, especially with the way CTW is too, that if you've got any of these fullback only players, often people are playing the duels in the CTW, so it's it just makes it difficult to make the trade. Just with the way that Holmes, for example, has really not been much good. I mean, Inglis has been okay, but not setting the world on fire. So sometimes these sort of fringy dual players, they aren't even what people sort of thought they were going to be. So can be difficult to find a partner, but he's definitely a guy to be pretty high on.
Top 10 rest of season, Duffy, do you think?
Oh, top 10. Well, I suppose if you go through it, I mean, obviously you're going to have Turbo, Tedesco, Ponga, RTS for sure.
It's later.
Later for sure, so that's 5. Who else have you got at number 6? You'd rather have Inglis?
No, I'd probably rather Duffy, to be honest. Obviously, I think a lot of that comes with Inglis staying fit for the whole year as well.
And the fact he's playing centre, I'm not on board.
Jack Whiten.
I'd rather Dufty.
You'd rather Dufty. Sorry, it's hard to think of the fullbacks.
Dylan was another one. I'd probably have Dylan just ahead for his consistency, but I think Dufty's obviously shown that the upside is a lot higher with him, so that one's really close.
Yeah, I'd rather have Edwards too.
Yeah, it's close though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean Alex Johnston. You see, this is the problem. Like with Alex Johnston, it depends where people are playing him. Are they playing him in the CTW? Are they playing him at fullback?
Mate, in the CTW, the way it's been going, you've got to. I know you and I have been reluctant to get on board with him, but the stats are starting to pile up. Back end of last year into this one, and I'd say he's certainly someone I'd be quite happy to have in my CTW slots.
Yeah, well, that's actually good. I guess that's a good person to try and trade Dufty for. I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of people who have Dufty that probably, are probably going to have to play him. It's just those people that have, Dufty with, guys like White and guys like Edwards. Those sorts of teams that are locked in can make it difficult. Whereas if they've got someone who's got maybe Dugan, as I said before, Holmes has been going terribly. Will Hopewadi, those sorts of players. I guess that's where the decision needs to be made on what to do with him. Going down the list, mate, 1 week wonder, Joe Stimson. I see Felice Kafusi hasn't been named at all, so it looks like Joe Stimson's set for another 80-minute role there.
Was Felice wasn't named on the extended bench either, was he?
No, they named Patrick Kafusi.
Ah, right. Okay, so definitely Stimson. Look, 1 week special, mate. I think he's proven he's pretty high work rate, and he's getting all of Felice's minutes. So yeah, I don't think you'd want to be burning a claim on the man, but if you need to plug a gap this week, you certainly could do worse.
Yeah, that's right. Onto the hooker position, Parramatta have given Cameron King the flick, so Kaiser Pritchard's back. It looks as though he'll probably get 80 minutes, as is the position there, just with Bo Scott, Tony Williams, Kenny Edwards, and Penny Terapo all on the bench. I guess the only way he doesn't get 80 is if one of those forwards do push Nathan Brown into hooker. But that's going to be really hard to predict if that's actually going to happen. So I guess you can dial him up as a potential 80-minute player. And with hooker too, I mean, hooker's been pretty ordinary as well, don't you reckon?
Oh, if you're not the Damien Cook, McCulloch or Smith owner, I think, is Coruscant, is he... Yes, I'm pronouncing it like that as per the correct way to say it. But Coruscant, mate, how's he been going?
Well, that way of pronunciation can be debated. But look, he's been getting minutes taken off him by Hastings. So
right. So he's dropped a bit of value from the draft as well. Yeah. Mate, for that reason, I've got to advocate a speculative pickup there on Kaiser because he's shown a little bit of fantasy upside in the past with some decent tackling stats. So I don't mind it. I wouldn't be spending a super high claim, but if I was the guy that was sitting on, say, Elisha or, your Havili or any of those type of guys, I think he's worth a look.
Yeah, if you got the Tigers guys, imagine that. If you got Peter Godney, Jesus.
Yeah, or Granville, obviously, as we said to everyone last week, mate, lost his minutes the week gone, and that's even with Lachlan Coote named on the extended bench. So, I don't think Granville's a starter going forward.
No, probably not, unfortunately. Let's stick with Parramatta and go Will Smith at fullback. Dual 5'8" fullback. So pretty good that he's got the dual there. Can fill a couple of positions. What do you make of him in terms of his longevity at the position, I suppose, given that Hayne's out, 5 weeks or so? Gutherson's probably still 4 or 5 weeks away as well. So what do you make of him? Is he worth a claim based on his longevity there? And do you think he's got much potential to score well?
He's once upon a time, I think a few years ago at Penrith, I picked him up off waivers and he scored me a 90 odd. So I've got a bit of a likeness for this man. I suppose it's a speculative one, mate. I'd say yes. I wouldn't be burning a super high claim on him, but he has shown some fantasy upside in the past.
Yeah, he's definitely worth a low end claim if you need him, but I think that's probably all he is. You don't want to be winning an early claim for a guy that's going to be away for 5 weeks, only there for 5 weeks. And mate, looking at this Parramatta team, they look. I know they've been getting belted up all over the place, but mate, their team this week is the worst it's looked, and they've been getting flogged before this.
Oh, it's rough. The forward pack, mate, I don't know how we missed it pre-season. It's one of those, hindsight is 2020 things, but you don't really want anyone in that para side right now when they're sporting Alvaro, Mana, Maroa, Manu Mao, all these guys, mate. Where's the go forward going to come from? So, yeah, as I said, low-end claim. I guess the 5'8" eligibility makes him a little interesting, just considering how shallow that position is. But, yeah, I wouldn't be getting too excited there.
Yeah, he's not a huge base fullback. He's just got just enough attacking to make him relevant, I suppose, is probably a fair assessment of Will Smith. Let's go through the next couple of guys together. Jeremy Marshall-King, Brock Lamb, and Adam Dwayne, or Dewey, or is that's how they want it to be said. I guess the thing with Dewey is he's only available in the CTW. Whereas Marshall-King and Brock Lamb are obviously in the halves, all playing halves in real life, though. What do you think of that group of three guys, and which do you prefer going forward?
Brock Lamb is interesting to me. I presume Ponga will keep the goal kicking, but I believe Brock Lamb's, I'd say, is a better goal kicker all around. I like Brock Lamb there in that out of those three. Duahi, obviously, with a 1 week, he's about a 1 week special, maybe 2 at best. I like that he's eligible in the CTW, and the fact that they're playing the Bulldogs this week means that I could see starting him this week if you got him is probably a pretty good option. What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I if I had to pick out of these three, I'd go Marshall-King only because he's got longevity in the position. I actually think he's the worst Supercoach player of the bunch, but that's where you've got to make that decision on the wire. Are you playing for this week, or are you playing for within 3 weeks? Because in 3 weeks' time, the way he's gone, I guess Brock Lamb, I'll probably be a bit harsh on him. If in 3 weeks' time, Brock Lamb will definitely have value because Connor Watson, is he gone for the season, or is it?
Wow. It's like 10 to 12 weeks would be a good outcome. I mean, I also think Brock Lamb, in fairness to him, mate, he did very wrong last year in a really average side. He has a chance here now that he probably deserves to really, reputations aside, to stamp that position as his own if the Knights continue to win. So I think Brock Lamb's got the most upside, and I think he's got the safest floor for what he'll do as a Supercoach player.
Yeah, with that information in mind about Connor Watson being out for so long, I guess sort of makes my point a bit null and void, I guess. So actually, you've swayed me there. I'll side with Brock Lamb there as the best for those. I actually think Duahi will score the most points this week for the record, but just not worth the claim because of that low shelf life there. A couple of other guys that are worth mentioning. Jared Wallace and Luke Bateman. Jared Wallace is just, I guess, more of a guy to mention just in case people have looked over him. Came back last week and scored in mid-40s.
Classic buy low for me, mate. I think he works back into his own and to a 50-plus average pretty comfortably. Jai Arrow moving to the back row kind of reinforces that for mine. And it's back to that old rotation with Ryan James sharing the starting prop minutes. So, I think he's a really good buy low.
Okay, so that's an interesting call. So you see the Titans' minutes being shared. How do you see it going there with the bench they've got?
I think you'll see, obviously, with Rain still on the bench, that obviously frees up some maintains those forward minutes. Jesus, mate, Latu. Can a guy show less?
Probably not.
Is it possible? Just falling at the line and whatnot. So he's not demanding minutes either. And I think with Will Matthews now, we will talk about in a moment in the starting side. Mate, I think there's a red hot chance. Wallace, once his conditioning gets up, I see him as a 50-minute player. Pretty high motor on him as well. And I think with his PPM you'll get a 50+ average. So I'm on board.
Yeah, so James will play, 65 minutes probably at prop? Still?
Something in that range. So around about 60, I think he plays as a prop, yeah.
So 80, still 80 for Proctor in that case, I guess, and then...
I think Proctor gets his 80. Matthews will get somewhere between, 50-ish probably. I think that's his sort of run. And then Arrow, again, probably around 60, like a lot of these locks do.
Yeah. I think the problem with the Titans team, Chris, is that this team's by no means set in stone. This is going to change so often because they're just going to get flogged most weeks. So they're going to be chopping and changing all over the place. But yeah, I see your point. I definitely see Wallace as a sneaky buy low too. But it's just, so hard to really nail down what on earth the Titans are doing because, to be honest, they probably don't know either. But,
yeah, I don't think benching Cartwright is the answer.
No, I see why they've done it, but they just need to play him properly. They just need him actually taking runs and offloading and actually looking creative rather than playing as this first receiver that just sort of passes off to a forward. It's just a weird way of playing him. So,
and
anyway,
he's not hiding to nothing. Defending on the same side as Conrad Hurrell and Kane Elgie. Oh, Jesus, mate, I wouldn't envy that either, to be honest.
No. Well, anyway, with the Titans, you said Will Matthews' name there. What do you make of him? Is he worth a claim with this situation in so much flux, or what do you do with him?
Probably just a free agent sort of specky. Has shown decent PPM in the past, more so when he was at the Dragons. I mean, if he makes the starting role his and the Titans actually, put up a decent fight against the Broncos, I guess he could be something, but I wouldn't be spending a high claim or anything, no.
No, me neither. We touched on Luke Bateman and Tarpany before. Tarpany's been named in this jersey number 17. I've heard that he is going to need to pass a fitness test to whether to play or not. So keep your ears to the ground with that if you are a Bateman owner or you're looking to plug him and play him, because I don't think, well, I mean, it could happen, but I probably would think it's more likely that Tarpany is either starting in the back row or not playing at all. I think it's either one of those type of goes. So just keep that in mind with Bateman. If Tarpany stays on the bench as it is and nothing happens, then I don't think you can go near Bateman at all. I think Bateman's only an option if Tarpany is completely out of the side.
Completely agree. So
stick with that. And last guy to discuss, or probably last two guys, Jonas Pearson for the Broncos. I think he's worth the pick up and play against the Titans this week at home, being a winger there, playing on the left-hand side, taking Corey Oates' spot. Tries are always a chance. And if you watched the Titans play last week, then you'd know that there's plenty to go around. And the last one is you just wanted to bring up Adam Reynolds as a watch list guy.
Yeah, just again on just how bad the halfbacks have been this year. I think he's definitely worth it. If he's sitting out there on your waivers, you could do worse than stash him, especially again if you are a Cleary, Moses, Croft, any of those owners.
Anyway, can we just for interest's sake, can we just do a bit of an impromptu rest of season halfback rankings with, this is obviously with Cleary assumed to be out 6 to 10. Let's take Cleary out as it stands right now. Rest of season halfback rankings. We'll try and get a top 10. It might be hard, sort of off the top of your head. How would you have?
Try and bring up a list, mate, in this impromptu, just so I've at least got. Here we go.
All right. While you're doing that, I guess we'll start the debate off by saying, do you have Thurston, SJ, or DCE 1?
Thurston 1 for me. Nothing's changed to dissuade me from that. I think the Cowboys get better as the season rolls on. So I've still got JT 1.
Yep. I'd probably agree. I think I'd agree. Yep.
And I think by virtue of DCE goal kicking is interesting, I must admit. That does make it somewhat close between Johnson and DCE. I'd still go for Johnson second, just by virtue of that upside and actually improved floor he's had over the last season a bit.
Yeah, I think that top three is very very easy to sort of say, isn't it, this year with the way that DCE's kicked?
It is, and I'll add that I think the fourth is actually not, with Cleary being fit would potentially change even those top three, but with him out for quite a while, I think the guy that is playing in the team that's going to be right up there is Ben Hunt. He's been good for Supercoach. I was high on him going into the year, and he's done nothing to turn me off that.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with Ben Hunt fourth.
And so then, mate,
this is where it gets interesting.
It does. There's a lot of players here that have got question marks. I mean, Moses Mbai, Cooper Cronk, Chad Townsend's been going back to that 50 average consistency that he's had in seasons past. Corey Norman, Luke Brooks. I mean, this gets shallow pretty fast.
Michael Morgan,
Morgan, to get Ash Taylor, Mitch Pearce he'll have better weeks. He just had a slowish start. It's shallow, mate. That's real shallow.
So just obviously there's no gun to your head here. Let's just try and rank it. So 5 through 10, a rough ranking. Who would you take next if you were at a pinch?
I'll take Ash Taylor 5. I think there will be points.
Yep. Okay.
Then I'm going to have to slot Mbai in there because he appears to be on the ball. I just still don't rate the Bulldogs very much in attack, but I think I'll still sneak him in there.
Okay.
And then, mate, throw a blanket. I mean, God, no gun to the head here. I suppose Pearce would still be next.
Pearce 7.
Jeez.
I have Michael Morgan 5th. I'll be honest. I know he's didn't do anything first week back, but I think you're really underestimating Michael Morgan's potential in that team.
Yeah. I've always been scared of his floor when JT's there, and I still think that'll exist. But I suppose the rest of these guys are the same.
All of these guys have got that same floor, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I could see why you do that, mate. If you want to put him in 5, I can probably just push everyone down a rung then. I'm not going to fight you too hard on that. So, yeah, like your Taylor, Pearce, I mean, God knows, Mitch Moses surely can't be this bad season long, but obviously very concerned about what he's doing. And another one, mate, who I thought would at least show something is Brodie Croft.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
He's been putting together like sort of just shy of 30 in sort of base stats, but he's not doing much else.
Would you have Nicarima in the top 10 then? I think I probably would.
I definitely wouldn't. I do not rate him as a Supercoach player in that side. I think he is a waiver. He's waiver fodder.
Interesting. So you got Moses at 8. So you got two players to go.
Moses. I mean, I think I like what Cronk. That's a big switch on preseason. I think Cronk is very close to a borderline starter in that potent Roosters side. The only other one that potentially gets in there is fully fit, which is a big if, would be Adam Reynolds. Because I think the goal kicking will still carry that through.
Yeah, you might be right. I think I might have miscounted there. I think you might have only had one to fill. So Adam Reynolds it is. Pencil him in. So if he's out there, pick him up. I mean, obviously, I'd probably give Maloney a bit of a look over too, like we said. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. So that wraps us up for the waiver episode, guys. We'll go through the waiver priority for the week. We haven't done a definitive ranking for this either, sort of some sort of plan as we are. But the potential guys, mate, we're not going to include him because he's definitely going to be owned. So
Tyrone Peachy, mate. He's the number one this week. If he's out there, go get him.
Yeah, the Peaches here. I mean, the guys we've spoken about, Kotrick and Dufty, we said would be owned probably. So Peachy 1, just some candidates for the number 2 spot. Rob Jennings, Jared Wallace, Will Smith, Brock Lamb, Adam Reynolds, James Maloney.
I think Jared Wallace is pretty high for mine, and I do think there'll be leagues where he, at the very least, would be a very easy guy to get in trades. I've got Wallace probably 2 there. I think Adam Reynolds has got to be up there because he's, we've read that he's pretty close to coming back from what we've heard. And then a lot of those other guys, mate, like as I said, Jennings, you could spend a low claim on, and he could be one of those sort of CTWs that just have a good year. It's got that feel to it. As with Richie Kennar, who looks like a beast as well, if he's still out there, I believe in what he's doing. And another moment, mate, I just thought of then that we probably should mention. Asako, he looks good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, wow.
Like he looks like one of those gems that the Bronx have just unearthed at the right time. And when you couple that with the goal kicking while Jordan Carr, who's out, I mean, mate, I'm all on board with him as a starter.
Oh, yeah. He's got every chance of keeping the kicking too, because he looks pretty good, doesn't he? So, yeah, geez, we've really missed him. I guess because he's been owned in our league for so long, I guess it's easy to do that. Wow. Yeah, he's definitely up there. Definitely up there. But, yeah, all these guys are so interchangeable, I think. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, mate. So just really, as I said, you're just excited in your leagues. If you see the peach out there, he's the real big one this week. That's you've essentially just, I wouldn't say won the lottery, but you've got the chance there to get one of the top CTWs just sitting there on your waiver wire. Also, as I said, if you can acquire him in a trade before he blows up, now's the time. And a sneaky mention, as you said, mate, I am optimistic about James Maloney as well. I think that could go okay.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think I've said my piece on Jimmy Maloney, so I like it. All right, that'll pretty much wrap us up, mate. As per normal, hit us up on Twitter at NRL Supercoach Talk Draft or on the Supercoach Talk website. And we'll do our best to get your trade questions or start sit questions answered. Thanks very much for listening, guys.
Just before we wrap it up there, mate, just curious, Paul Gallen, rest of season. I know that question will have to be thrown about, especially in draft leagues. What would you do as the Gallen owner right now?
Oh, mate, what would you do? I mean, there's every chance you're probably 0-3 or 1-3. Oh, geez.
Probably.
Oh, sorry, 1-2. What? Geez, that's a hard question. I don't own Gallen anywhere, so it's probably hard for me to answer. He looks. I definitely get why you'd be concerned, because as a buyer, it's probably the first time in his whole career where I've ever been like, geez, I actually don't think like he'll definitely turn it around. He just looks off this year, and it's not really because of anything.
He looks a little less powerful in his drive through the line for mine. You know, one of his hallmarks was like, you know, not great speed, but good leg drive, and he'd be able to, because of that power, he could wriggle free and pop an offload. We haven't seen that yet inside the first couple of weeks, and if that's gone, if he's lost that little bit of power and burst, I mean, then in terms of Supercoach, he's just a 50 to 55 average guy, which is still okay, but nowhere near the draft grade you paid for him.
Yeah, like if you owned him, like, of course you're going to be fielding offers. Definitely fielding offers. Depends where the other holes are in your side, I guess. Obviously, you need to always be looking to upgrade your side, but the problem with Gallen is it's just getting really bloody close to being it. Like, if potential buyers are starting to get a little bit scared, it only takes one more bad week and could be curtains on any time to jump off the bandwagon, and all of a sudden you could have drafted a huge bust in round one. But it's just really hard, mate, without being in the position of owning Gallen to really say. But he's one of those ones that it's not a surefire buy low this year by no means. I think he's I feel much more confident in like guys like Matt Gillette and Cordner.
Yeah. Papali, Cordner,
yeah,
who've all started very slow. Yes,
yeah, I definitely feel a little bit more confident in them just because their minutes are still there, whereas Gallen's minutes have really dropped. So he's a worry. He definitely is a worry. I'm glad I'm not in that position.
Yes,
unfortunately, lots of people are. But yeah, do you have anything else to add on that topic before we finish up?
Nah, look, I think if you're, again, that, you know, putting me on the spot like I did with you there, I would say that almost you're selling him medium to low right now. I think that maybe it is time to go for it. However, if I was a guy who'd started 0-3 and wasn't doing well in the forwards, he's the sort of guy I'd take a punt on, though, because you might need that to turn your season around.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So all good. All right. We've obviously done the plug, so we won't worry about that. We'll just talk to you again next week, guys.
All right. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Good luck.
Bye.